What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review, coming out of Long Island, New York. With me today, we have my brother, your brother, B.
What's up, everybody? Long time no see.
Yeah, we got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
Yes, and we're back, the three of us here. Sanj is busy working and doing his school thing. He'll be back one day, maybe just for the realies. But we're back this week, man, and there's not a lot of news going on. I did happen to catch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, so I'll give you a quick review on that. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking about James Gunn's recent news about what he's doing with DC. Some of the two new things is that he is going to be making a Wonder Woman sequel, or part 3 of Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot. We'll see how the fellas feel about that. And apparently the Ayer Cut of Suicide Squad. No one asked for it, but we're going to get it. So we'll talk about that. But first and foremost, let's let you guys know Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I got a chance to watch it with the kids on Saturday. And the kids, my littlest one couldn't hang. It was about 2 hours long. I think the movie was 2 hours exactly.
Wow.
But I got to tell you guys, I love the movie. It's so Turtles, and it's creative, it's inventive, it's different. They felt like teenagers. The story was great. I had a great time listening to the music. Once again, it was like Transformers, the Rise of the Beast that we just saw.
Yeah.
It had that hip hop from the 80s and 90s that I absolutely love. But I also love the actual story of this and what the story was trying to say. So listen, I know my fellas didn't get a chance to see it, so I won't say much. I don't want to ruin it for them. But my own personal take for people who have not seen Teenage Mutant Turtles, it's pretty much a need to see, man, especially if you have kids. It's a good time in the theaters, and I thought, again, the story was good. It's not going to be like top 4, top 3 or anything like that, but it's up there, man. It's a really good movie, man, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was a good time in the theaters, having fun with my old friends Raphael, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Donatello. So good to see them. Great story. So that's going to be the review for now. Maybe one day we'll do a full review, or maybe it'll come up in one of our favorite movies for the year, because we'll do like towards the end of the year, what our favorite movies were. And I think it's going to be up there for me. So let's get into the news of the week. Let's go first, Al, right into James Gunn, man. He's saying that we're going to have another Wonder Woman in the DC universe. However, the Wonder Woman is going to be with Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot and him are going to write this movie together, or come up with the idea of Wonder Woman 3 together. Al, are you okay, comfortable, good with the Wonder Woman 3 with Gal Gadot? And what does that mean for you with this whole new DC universe?
Well, first I was a little confused because unless you heard a different report, the one I heard was that they were working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's him like stringing her along in case they need her, because right now the DCU, his new DCEU is, I don't think anybody's buying into it right now with the way these movies are flopping. I mean, you had Shazam flop. Now you had what was the last? That's the Flash flopped majorly, and that was supposed to be what he called like the best superhero movie he's ever seen. And let's see what happens with Blue Beetle. I mean, I think they just doubled its opening projection, but still,
right,
even with that, it's still projecting a low opening and potential overall sales. So he needs something to spark people back into the DCEU. That's why, this whole news with Gal Gadot, and maybe, just since everybody liked her as Wonder Woman, if he can't find a name that everybody jumps on, because notice what he does. He always lets these rumors get out there to see how people react. And then I think he uses that to gauge who he picks. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if this is just in case he can't get a good name that gets people excited about a new Wonder Woman. Oh, right. Let's just bring Gal Gadot back and let's throw it out there that there's going to be a 3, because it doesn't make any sense if she's part of the old DCEU that you just threw out, that, you're saying is no longer going to be, because she was part of the Snyderverse.
Right.
So, and it's even more so, like, I know we've commented on this before, but it even more so makes it look personal with Henry Cavill, because you you're keeping Jason Momoa on. You're just now talking about, okay, we're going to do Wonder Woman 3 with Gal Gadot.
Right.
And you had a couple more scenes with Ben Affleck. So why did you have to cut Superman? I mean, Henry Cavill Superman out
Right.
to the point of recasting him? If Wonder Woman is still going to be Gal Gadot and Aquaman is still Jason Momoa, obviously it wasn't an age thing. So you could have kept him, or at least kept him as one of these Elseworlds, I think they call it.
Right. Elseworld stories. Right.
Yeah. So just keep it as an Elseworlds, just like, because how many Batmans do we now have? Like 6?
Yeah.
So you're telling me you couldn't keep Cavill on and keep the person who everybody who likes Superman is enjoying and says that's my Superman.
Right.
That's the one you get rid of, but you keep everybody else. So I mean, I'm not getting positive vibes as on what he's doing with this DCU. I'm not seeing any major like course correction coming from the steps he's taking.
Right.
Other than the casting news for the new Superman movie, there's really nothing new that he's been bringing forward, other than hyping up all these old movies that haven't done well and aren't doing well. So I'd love to say I'm excited about it, but I think it was more of a, let's just throw them out of crumbs so that we can keep them happy and maybe get them to go see these movies, because they're not coming. So I don't know. I just felt like it was a ploy.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I don't know how you feel, B, about this, because it does kind of feel like a ploy. And the reason why I say that is because what's coming out next week? Blue Beetle. So all of a sudden now we're hearing about Wonder Woman, the Ayer Cut, and some of these other things. And it almost feels like let's build a little hype for DC. And then Blue Beetle is supposed to be coming out next week, which is kind of be interesting to say the least, because I mean, we don't really know Blue Beetle and the history of the last couple of years of DCEU or DCU, whatever you want to call it. It's been a little bit iffy. So how are you feeling, Brandon, knowing about or thinking about this Gal Gadot, James Gunn venture for Wonder Woman 3?
I don't know. It's messy to me. I feel like the hype of we were all really not there when the announcement was made, but when we all saw Guardians 3, we're like, okay, I see there's potential here. But then the more that we hear about the DC movies, the more like nervous I'm getting about what we're getting, because it doesn't make sense. And I get it. Nothing has came out yet from the DCU. So it's all just like we're waiting for something to finally just get a grasp of it all. But the more we hear, the more that comes out, it's just getting really convoluted. Like it's almost like the multiverse. Like just listening to the multiverse and all these movies, it's like what's happening? So for Wonder Woman 3 to be with Gal Gadot doesn't make any sense to me. I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I feel like that's the only role she can do. Unfortunately, but like I don't know why we're doing that. And then like especially with what Patty Jenkins not being attached to it, and that was the person who brought Wonder Woman to the table. Gal Gadot brought the character, but Patty Jenkins brought Wonder Woman to the table. So if this
she
isn't
also
made
brought
with
1982.
this is true. This is true. So I mean, like I'm interested in seeing what the hell they're even talking about, because then as the more James Gunn talks as well, it gets confusing. Like his whole speech about Blue Beetle being the first DCU movie, but not being a part of the new universe because that starts with Superman, and it's like, but is it? Is it not? What? Like how? What do you mean by what you say? Especially as more news comes out, like even Greg Berlanti's Green Lantern show is officially off the table. It's gone, no longer in production, and so that was a big draw, and that show is officially gone. But because that was part of the old DC, and now we have new DC. So like with all of these shows out of development, out of production, all of the old universe of even the TV show stuff, they've stopped all the DC stuff. And now everything is in anticipation of this new James Gunn DC universe. And it's it just doesn't make sense. Like, who asked for the Ayer cut? Anybody actually want to see that? You
Yeah,
know?
I know.
Yeah, no.
So
Kind of
I don't
crazy.
know. I'm hoping I'm hoping once we see something, it gets better. But right now,
Hmm.
I'm not sold on any of it.
Mm.
I got you. And you know what, B man, just really quick, if you can, let me know what you think about the Blue Beetle actually coming out next week. Or is this something that you're excited to see, you want to see, or you're almost ready to skip it kind of thing? Like, how do you feel about Blue Beetle coming out next week?
I like the cast that they have for it. So like
Hmm.
I'd be willing to see it. And I know Blue Beetle. I know a lot of the Blue Beetle character, and so it's very interesting. I don't know where they're going with it though, because as someone who does know the comic for Blue Beetle, I mean not the comic, but the story of Blue Beetle and how like the invasion arc is all about him. Um, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I feel like I like the cast. I forget the name of the lead actor, but he was in Cobra Kai, and then of course you got
Hmm.
George Lopez. So like
Right.
Oh, good.
can't go wrong with both of them. So I'm interested in seeing it, but I don't know. I don't have high hopes for it because they're not selling the movie.
Gotcha. How about you, Adam? What's your excitement level for the Blue Beetle there?
It at first, just based on the character alone, there was none. I mean, I knew nothing of Blue Beetle. I never
Hmm.
read not even one issue of a comic for it. So, in terms of a character, there was no draw for me to see this movie, other than thinking it was building a DCU. Just seeing where they were going to go with it, how they were going to incorporate other characters, possibly, and then how it was going to supposedly feed into the whole universe. But
Right.
now that it doesn't, um other than, like B said, the cast is what has me going, just seeing
Hmm.
this young group. They seem to, the girl with the glasses, I forgot what else she's been in, but she cracks me up.
Hmm.
Whenever she plays a character, she has me laughing.
Right.
And even in here, as the sister or whatever she is to the main character, she has me laughing just in the trailer. So I'm
Yeah.
waiting to see how she plays out throughout the whole movie. And then George Lopez, just
Yeah.
he's always had, between his stand-up to his TV shows and other movies he's done, he's always made me laugh. I've always found his characters amusing. So I'm looking forward to see them, as well as, just to have that kind of a character on screen, and hoping that that gives us more representation in terms of this type of genre. Um, you know, I'm hoping it has success and has, people come out to support it, so that we can have that. But other than that, no, I wasn't really drawn to it, but it looks incredible. So whatever budget they put, I don't know if
Right.
we're going to touch on the VFX workers for Marvel unionizing, and maybe that expanding to the other guys, but these guys did a great job on this movie from what I can see in the trailer. I mean, the guy brings
Right.
out a Final Fantasy sword and everything, and to see, given the fact that this character can, the cat, what, Scarab,
The
can
Scarab.
create whatever
Yeah.
he can imagine. If they do that right, it's incredible what they should be able to put on that screen for this movie. So
Yeah.
for that aspect, I'm looking forward, and we'll be looking to see it in the theater and enjoy it there. So yeah,
Nah,
you know.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, like, I like the my excitement really for the movie is just to go to the movies, and like when I seen the trailers, the thing that always I remember, unfortunately, is the freaking little Uzi Vert song where the guy does this, but yeah, Brandon's like completely unimpressed with my dance moves, so little Uzi Vert there.
I don't know what I
But they're
just
like
saw.
the camera's not showing everything.
It doesn't
What's
show
it called?
everything.
But yeah, the trailer did look good. I'm not gonna lie. As far as the visuals looked, but there was something. It wasn't like making me want to like, oh my god, I need to see that. And I don't know what would have made me do that. But I didn't get that feeling, from the trailer. So I am just looking forward to just going to the movies. It's a DC movie, so I want to go represent and see it and check it out, especially one of those opening night things, just to see how the crowd gets. I wonder if it's going to be even like busy like that. So we'll be surprised when we go there to see how it is. But that's going to be next Thursday for the Blue Beetle. And then just lastly, we'll touch on the Ayer cut being saying that James Gunn saying that we will see Ayer's version of it. And I'm wondering if he's trying to go off of the somewhat success of Justice League. I mean, I don't know if you really want to call it success when you spent how much millions of dollars just to put it out on HBO Max.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
with the
like
reshoots.
now I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I absolutely loved the 4 hour cut of Justice League. I thought it made the story better. It was more filling. It was more amazing, better story.
Yeah,
But the Ayer cut, like Suicide Squad, like I always remember Killer Croc and looking like just it looked weird, looked like unfinished VFX. Are
hmm
they gonna do things with the VFX, or are they gonna just make it a longer story, more of the stuff that they didn't show? I know there was a bigger storyline between Joker, Harley Quinn, and that we didn't see that, but I don't know if we necessarily needed it for Suicide Squad. So I'm a little iffy. Will I watch it? Absolutely. I'll definitely give it a watch. But is it something that I need in my life? Especially again, this is like they're treading on the past of the DCEU. If James Gunn is going to come in and start his brand new DC universe, his vision of what the universe should be like, I don't understand the rehashing of going back to some of these things. And I don't think I really necessarily agree with doing the Ayer cut. It's not like something that people really are desperate for.
yeah.
No one
You know,
asked.
no one cares, man. So I mean, Al, what's your thoughts on the Ayer cut being possibly released in a couple of years?
It just, like I said, it just reeks of desperation for him to create some excitement around the DC, because you're talking about a cut of a movie for a group that's not even the most recent version of that group.
Right.
So it's not like they went and said, oh, we have a more in-depth version of Suicide Squad with Idris Elba and the rest of them. He's going back to the Suicide Squad before that. Like, so that to me is even more so of a desperation.
That's 2016.
Yeah. So meanwhile, you had a group that you just broke apart, like the main group.
Right.
If you're going to go back to a group and say, you know what, let's do something with this group so that we can get people excited, I would have thought you'd say, you know what, we are going to make the Snyderverse part of a elsewhere world. And I think I heard a rumor of like maybe sell it to Netflix and license it so that they can release it there. But
Right.
anything on our service and in the theaters is going to be the main universe. Like, do something like that. Like, I would be like, okay, cool, I'll go watch the movies, but I'll go over here for my Snyderverse characters or what.
Right.
But like you said, to release a version of a movie that didn't even do well, that maybe even a smaller group than the people calling for the Snyderverse who were maybe asking for this 4 years ago,
Right.
who nobody was asking for it anymore. I think it just sounds desperate,
Yeah.
So I mean, I hope it's worth it, because like you said, it's probably going to call for millions of dollars
Right.
worth of re-editing, reshooting, grading, because they probably didn't apply the VFX for the scenes since they weren't going to use them. So now you're calling in new VFX artists to finish off the scenes and so forth. So, I mean, hope it's worth it. I mean, I know
Yeah.
I won't go see it in the theater. I'll wait for it to stream. So,
Streaming, right? Because there's
yeah,
no real purpose to it, right?
it touches
The
on
movie
nothing.
wasn't that great where we need to see it again.
It wasn't great when it first came out, and it does nothing for the current universe nor the one you're bringing. So
Right.
again, what would even be the point of bringing this out?
Yeah, I got you. B, how you feeling about this Ayer cut rumor?
I don't know. Like I said, like I don't know where they had to go to find this. Like this was 2016. This movie was shot in 2014, and
Right.
they left so much on the cutting room floor that they had to change the entire movie to match the theme of Justice League after they changed the theme of that movie. And so
Right.
like you're telling me that yes, we're going to see a completely different movie with a completely different tone because this was before they had issues with the Justice League.
Right.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. Fine. But nobody wants to see this movie. Nobody cares. And the only person who's trying to prove a point at this point is David Ayer. He's the
Yeah.
only person who
I
talks about
swear
this
it's a
cut.
good movie.
I swear, if only you saw what they let me do. Like, like that's
Right.
what he's saying. And it's just like, that's been the talk for 5 years now. And he's
Right.
just like, if only you saw my movie. Like, like, dude, like you're the only one who cares about your movie. You know? And so I get so like worked up about it too, because like now it makes me even more confused. Like what Al said, like if James Gunn is trying to build his new universe, then why do we keep retreading on the past?
Right.
And then it gets me confused because I remember now James Gunn is pushing Peacemaker season 2. And that's his show with John Cena, Amanda Waller, his wife, like all of these people from the DCEU. And I already know that he doesn't want to give those people up.
Right.
So, how do they now fit into the DCU? Are we going to say that Peacemaker is actually DCU now? Because
Right.
his wife can't be out of work. So, he's
Oh,
got to make sure she
shots,
gets
man. He
in.
came in today
You
raw,
know?
dude.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm just so like, the more I think the problem that we have is that Marvel did it too good. They built out a universe in pieces and then built timelines off of that success that they had.
Yeah.
I feel like if he never did a press announcement or like, hey, this is my next 10 years of movies, then it would be like, hey, Superman's coming out in 2 years. Like, that's it.
Right.
You
That's
have
it.
nothing else. Yeah, you have nothing else to think about. You don't have to think about how I'm going to do things. You just need to know that Superman is coming out in 2 years. Because
Just wait
now
for
it's
it. Yeah.
because now it's like, oh, I have young Superman. Oh, but then Brave and the Bold is old Bat family, the entire Bat family.
Yeah.
Oh, but then Wonder Woman 3 with Gal Gadot, but then Mascara is a TV cartoon show that's coming to HBO Max. So like all of these
Yeah.
things sound to like contradict each other and they just don't make any sense.
Yeah. No. I'm starting to lose that bright hope that I have for James Gunn. I'm like, yo, dude, what are you doing? And I'm just hoping that that Superman comes out to be, a good story, a good movie, and just a great time at the theaters, man, because DCU's, man, I'm really terrified for Blue Beetle next week, man. I'm terrified to see that if it doesn't live up to the somewhat hype that it has, and if it's just another crater in the like to end DCU, because I'm not hearing great things about Aquaman too. So like,
No,
and that's November or December, I think it is Aquaman
no,
too.
didn't it
Now
get
So
pushed?
why even watch it?
yeah,
What's the point of seeing that movie?
Yeah.
terrified, man, terrified. Al, and freaking Brandon needs to stop taking time off from the podcast. He comes back angry. Gal Gadot's never done anything better than Wonder Woman. He didn't think I
Has
heard
she?
that one.
Oh
Has she?
man,
Has she?
I don't know. Let's see. She got something, an action movie coming out on Netflix. So
On Netflix coming out, right?
yeah, we'll see.
Oh, we'll see how our first one did.
Shots fired.
Oh dang.
Oh man. And listen, the last thing we're gonna talk about today is one of my fears, man. Is some of my great movie theaters, man. And AMC is one of my favorite theaters, man. And they have the good food, good theater seats, good surround sound, Dolby Atmos, clear crystal 8K, screens and all that stuff, man. It's just something that, like, when I hear bankruptcy, I've learned that bankruptcy doesn't necessarily mean they're going to shut their doors and that's enough,
Mhm.
but it could be. It could be down the road where it's like maybe a couple years down the road they can't make their theaters, survive the economy or the way things are going. And there's a thing now going where the CEO is saying that, hey, man, AMC may go bankrupt. And the first thing I thought, I was like, did they get saved by all of us? Like all of us trying to get rich off of Robin Hood?
Didn't we
GameStop and
help?
AMC,
Yeah.
and AMC should be good right now, right? Like, but things are happening, man, and my fear is if AMC goes down, what are we left with? Especially us in New York. There's AMC, there's Showtime theaters, and then there's what's the other one there? I think Showtime, AMC, Regal.
Cinema
Yeah,
Well,
there's
Deluxe.
Regal, but there's not that many of them.
there's not that many, man. So it's like I don't know, man. It gets me wondering, man. Like, we always hear the rumor of the death of the movie theater experience, and I just don't see
Mhm.
it happening or don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
Because then we have experiences like, Mission Impossible and John Wick, Parabellum, losing our shit, and I want that experience for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But if these movie theaters can't make money with their freaking $30 popcorn, it's like I don't know what else they can do.
Did you guys see the Blue Beetle popcorn tin?
Well, what
It's
is
like
it?
it's like a it's like a big blue beetle, like a big beetle that carries popcorn, but you can close it. It like moves. I'm like, what? Why is that necessary?
They need to just sell popcorn. Did you
Right?
know that well, I heard they're trying to get rid of like candy bars and like other things and put their own AMC candy, or probably more what most companies do. They take the wrapper off and put their wrapper on and sell it. But B, what's your take on AMC saying they may go bankrupt or may file for bankruptcy?
I don't know. It's tough. Like I know we got that wonderful Nicole Kidman trailer, for every movie promoting people to come see movies. And I don't know, I guess it's worse than we thought, like I
Yeah.
guess people really aren't seeing movies the way they used to before the pandemic. And I
Hmm.
don't know. I know that we show up for every premiere, but are people not seeing movies after the premiere anymore? Are people just
Mm.
waiting now for it to show up on a streaming platform? And
Not when
I'm
Barbie made
concerned.
$1 billion.
That's what I'm saying. A Barbenheimer, the whole everyone seeing Barbie and then Oppenheimer the same day, like that was crazy.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. I'm not scared for the theaters because we've been doing it for so long. Like I don't think they'll shut their doors. I think we might see less movie theaters for a little bit of time, but
Mhm.
maybe that's coming with the trend of Hollywood. Maybe we need to have better movies. There are
Mhm.
so many movies that come out that we don't see trailers to anymore. That was my
Yeah.
big thing
Gotcha.
last year. Like how many movies came into the theaters and you knew 4 of them and there was 9 of them,
Yeah.
and like none of them had big draws but they came out. So like what happened to, summer 2008 where we had all of these huge movies and you went to see each one and you knew about
Right.
each one. So like maybe it's just Hollywood right now isn't in a good place. We got the whole SAG-AFTRA, strike, and maybe in the next couple of years that'll get better as we get back to hopefully good production qualities and such. But I don't know. I feel like we're not going to see anything too crazy,
Mhm.
but there is a need for it to get better.
Gotcha. Al, Brandon's too young to know Toys R Us, man. I
Yes.
cried that
What?
day, brother.
What? What
Yeah.
do you get? I'm too young to know Toys R Us. What
You
are
talk
you talking
about,
about?
oh, movie theaters ain't going nowhere. I thought toys were going nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it closed my man Jeffrey down.
Okay. Yeah. That big store in Times Square. Jeez.
Oh, dude,
Okay,
there's
let's
no more Toys R Us. That's
let me.
No, there is, but it's a little small
it's
section of the
a
third floor
section
of
in Macy's.
Macy's.
It's all right. They got
Yo,
Target
dude,
now.
Good. Yeah.
I know, right? Because I said to myself, I'm like, let's see, Toys R Us is never going to go away because there's always going to be kids and there's always going to be toys, and kids love toys.
Yeah.
No more Toys R Us.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope the news about AMC is not as bad as he's making it sound, because I mean that was my first job. I working at at the time it was Lowe's, but
Yeah.
working concession, working as an usher at the theater and so forth, and it helped build my love of movies, being able to go and watch them and so forth,
Hmm.
just being in that world. So I hope it doesn't go. I hope at worst, unfortunately, it may be um, just the closing of a few locations, maybe,
Right.
hopefully, and that it doesn't lead to closure of too many locations. Because one of the options I've heard them saying is that these companies going to fewer but larger locations,
Mm.
meaning not as many, but the ones that are there will be like stadium size so that more people can fit into the one location.
Gotcha.
And that would be horrible. I don't know, because to me, one of the big things of going to, like, say, an IMAX is sitting in front of a huge ass screen and feeling the awe of being in front of that. And I think that'll go away if you're part of a stadium, because the audience is now larger than the screen.
Right.
So I hope it doesn't result in that. And to me, it's just poor management, because to your point, a few years ago they got an influx of cash from this GameStop situation from a few years ago. So
Right.
to take that opportunity and go from almost bankruptcy then, and to squander it, and to less than 4 years later you're facing bankruptcy again, potentially. And
Right.
like you said, it's not like these things are cheap. You go to these movies and it's, just for a family of 4, you're spending almost over $100 sometimes, between
Absolutely.
tickets and
Snacks and
popcorn and
stuff. Yeah.
everything. So for that to be your case, it's just, to me, it's just mismanagement. What are these guys doing? How much was this guy getting paid
Mhm.
for you to take a company that supposedly should have been in the lush, in the black, and in less than 3 years, 4 years, you're supposedly now maybe potentially going bankrupt again. And this is with you talking about people coming back to the theaters.
Right.
Like you just said, Super Mario not that long ago crossed $1 billion. Barbie just
Barbie.
crossed $1 billion. You had a couple movies coming close. Oppenheimer's like at what, 500-600 for the year so far.
Yeah.
So people are coming. They come to the theater. So how are you almost bankrupt? So I don't know if, like I said, the only thing I can think of is management. And if that's the case, then move on to another guy, bring somebody new in. Because who I forget the name of the guy who's running AMC, maybe some of his decisions need to be reevaluated.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of it is mismanagement and maybe not properly funding, because sometimes I see these theaters constantly renovating, and I'm like, you don't need to do all that. Not everything was fine. You're spending more money with the hope that you're going to gain more money, but you're not making money or enough yet to get yourself out of these situations. So it's like, I don't know. There's always that give and take, right? They always say you have to invest in your own company to make more money down the road, but there's got to be a counterbalance kind of there. But yeah, man, we're not on a finance podcast. We're on a movie podcast. So, oh man. So listen, man. Like I said, we're gonna hopefully see. I think it's either Gran Turismo that comes out this week, or Blue Beetle comes out next week, and we'll see if we catch a movie sometime this week. We've been kind of like going in and out of the theaters different times and seeing different movies. I know there's some movies that I ordered on Redbox on the on the TV there. I got Hypnotic with Ben Affleck, so I'm gonna check that out sometime soon to see what other comes out. But yeah, we'll definitely find out what's going on in the news next week in movies, and we'll put the podcast together, talk about it, and see if we saw any movies this week. But that's gonna be us for tonight. So we'll be get back next week to talk some more movie news, movie rumors, things that we hear or find out in the movie scene. But coming out of Long Island, New York, we are the Real Fan Review. Saying goodnight is my brother B.
Adios, everybody.
Our man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
Myself, Hav, saying goodnight. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Or if you're listening to us on a podcast, hit that little plus symbol so that every time we put a podcast out, you guys get that notification that we just did. So we'll see you guys next week on the next podcast. Until next time.